Cost
could
of, would the
speak to
annual
us.
payment be less than $400,000?
I can't imagine that we'd get financing that would not be more punitive.
Well, in light of the interest rates going down, has anybody compared the interest rates? Are they cheaper now than when we done that COP? Maybe we could,
Well, you can remember, it's not a COP, it's a POB.
or yeah, right, yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, they're not refundable. So your 2002 pension obligation bonds will be a debt at the rate
It'll have
that
to
they
be
were
paid,
sold at.
it'll have to be paid out. Okay.
Unless we could borrow enough money to do the synthetic kind of refunding that we did in 2002 and pay down a portion of the 96.
That's what I'm saying, then pay it off to the 100%. Get enough to pay it off the 100%. I just wonder if anybody run the
We
numbers
haven't.
to see what the payment would be that way.
I don't believe anybody has.
We certainly have a different credit rating now than we did at that point, and that would have to be factored into the cost of borrowing money. So it's, we haven't run the numbers, we certainly could, but an unofficial prediction would be that it wouldn't pay.
In 2002, I could add, the Fed rate that is set by the FOMC was 1%. Now I think it's dropping rapidly, and it's not the prime rate that you see, but it's I think we're still at 4.5%, somewhere in that area. Every time they meet, they seem to drop it, but they haven't gotten down to 1% yet. So I don't believe we would get better rates than we did in 2002.
Okay. Supervisor Smith.
Thank you. I just want to be sure that council's reviewed this document.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I didn't see your signature
Ad
anywhere, so
nauseum.
I wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Right, the signature lines are not on this document. They needed to
Okay.
they need to be included.
Okay.
Okay, other questions in regards to this item, the amendment to the funding agreement? Seeing no additional, how about from members of the public? Is there any comments from the public in regards to the funding agreement amendment? Okay, back to the board then. Comments, or I'll invite some action here.
I move the recommended motion.
Second. Okay, for item 9B, move the recommended action, and it has been seconded. Any discussion on the item?
Discussion.
Discussion.
I will support this reluctantly, but I would want to remind the board members, this is another $400,000 that we didn't have in the first place, and now we're going to have less of it at budget time. So, if we're going to move forward with this, be prepared to make those $10, $20, and $30, and $40,000 deductions to make up for this, because this is an obligation that's going to be plugged in the budget, and it's going to be $400,000 less we have to deal with at the final budget deliberations.
Thank you, Supervisor. Any other comments? To the motion then, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, passes unanimously, 5-0. Let's back up to item 9A then.
I'd rather put this money in the retirement system than another study, though.
Okay, I'll invite any action on item 9A, the actuarial study and adoption of the retirement system contribution rate.
I move the recommended action. I think we need to make sure that we define what that retirement system contribution rate is. And so maybe that is best done by referencing page 19 of the report on the actuarial valuation as of June 30th, 2007, page 19, number 4.
Of 10.98%.
Correct.
Okay.
That's good. Just for clarification, possibly page 24 has a complete breakdown of those rates, because we do have different rates for our different tiers and our miscellaneous and safety employees. So the bottom of page 24, that chart is a much more precise breakdown of those rates.
Would the maker of the motion modify it to include that item on page 24?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Is there a second to the board members? Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded with the inclusion of the table on the bottom of page 24. Discussion to the motion. Okay, hearing and seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much for a very difficult report.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Glassy.
If I could just add 2 sentences to this. One is that the proposed budget that will be proposed to the board will be a balanced budget, including this. And so, you know, that will be the starting point. Doesn't mean you can't have discussion about what it took to balance it, but we will be bringing you a balanced budget. The other thing I wanted to say is that Linda Clauser, the HR director, and I both went to a seminar training last week on OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits, which specifically refers to retiree health. And it was a very eye-opening seminar. We are now at the point, our size county is at the point of needing to do the GASB 45 review of our future liability for retiree health. And that number will be coming to you sometime by the end of this year. And although there's not a requirement at this point, a lot of counties are looking at what it would take to be at 100% funded for that liability as well. So just, you could call it a teaser, something else that we'll be bringing to you in the future. But that's also part of the landscape. Thank you.
Okay, Supervisor Smith?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. To the CEO, there's been some concern at the retirement board that we haven't had the most forthcoming information with respect to the GASB 45 and the shared responsibility and I believe shared cost to get that moving forward. So I would very much like to have our HR director be at the next retirement board meeting so the retirement board can be more informed about what the GASB 45 is, how we're moving forward with that contractual arrangement, what progress has been made, and so there's better communication. And the retirement board only meets once a month, and there's been concern that we just haven't had that communication. So I'd like to make that as a request.
I think that's very appropriate, and our first step was to send Allison and Linda off to that seminar sponsored by the CAOs Association. It's a concern I think we all share, so Allison will make sure that she and Linda put it on their schedule for next month.
Okay, what have we got left here? Thank you very much. Okay, supervisors' reports. Any reports from the supervisors? Supervisor Pinchas?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I went to a South Deal meeting last week and talking about road projects. For instance, a road project in Laytonville, a widening of Laytonville. The bid come in at 42% underneath the engineer's estimate. Basically, what you know, there's with the lack of work that's going on out there, now is the time to be doing construction projects. So I hope that our Department of Transportation can move forward on getting some of these projects out to bid, because now is the time to really move on construction projects. On the kind of the same issue, I got this email come through being on MCOG through sfgate.com, and it talks about in Sacramento the discussion. I'll just pass it around. I never made copies, but it's about they're realizing that all this money windfall is coming in on the sales tax on gasoline and diesel. It's creating a big windfall, and now the discussion over in Sacramento. Well, it's what we can do about it. And in this whole email, there's no mention of Prop 42 that